In one corner they found a closet that promised mystery, but the promise was a fraud. There was nothing in it. Their courage was up now and well in hand. They were about to go down and begin work when— "Shh!" said Tom. "What is it?" whispered Huck, blanching with fright. "Shh! There! Hear it?" "Yes! Oh my! Let's run!" "Keep still! Don't you budge! They are coming right toward the door." The boys stretched themselves upon the floor with their eyes to knotholes in the planking and lay waiting in a misery of fear. "They have stopped. No, coming. Here they are. Don't whisper another word, Huck. My goodness, I wish I was out of this." Two men entered. Each boy said to himself, "There's the old deaf and dumb Spaniard that's been about town once or twice lately. Never saw the other man before." The other was a ragged, unkempt creature with nothing very pleasant in his face. The Spaniard was wrapped in a serape. He had bushy white whiskers. Long white hair flowed from under his sombrero, and he wore green goggles. When they came in, the other was talking in a low voice. They sat down on the ground, facing the door, with their backs to the wall, and the speaker continued his remarks. His manner became less guarded and his words more distinct as he proceeded. "No," said he, "I have thought it all over, and I don't like it. It's dangerous." "Dangerous," grunted the deaf and dumb Spaniard, to the vast surprise of the boys. "Milksop." This voice made the boys gasp and quake. It was Injun Joe's. There was silence for some time. Then Joe said, "What's any more dangerous than that job up yonder? But nothing's come of it." "That's different. Away up the river so, and not another house about. To ever be known that we tried anyway, long as we didn't succeed." "Well, what's more dangerous than coming here in the daytime? Anybody would suspicion us that saw us." "I know that, but there weren't any other place as handy after that fool of a job. I want to quit this shanty. I wanted to yesterday, only it weren't any use trying to steer out of here, with those infernal boys playing over there on the hill right in full view." Those infernal boys, quaked again under the inspiration of his remark, and thought how lucky it was that they had remembered it was Friday and concluded to wait a day. They wished in their hearts they had waited a year. Two men got out some food and made a luncheon. After a long and thoughtful silence, Injun Joe said, "Look here, lad. You go back up the river where you belong. Wait there till you hear from me. I will take the chances on dropping into this town just once more for a look. We will do that dangerous job after I have spied around a little and think things look well for it. Then for Texas. We will leg it together." This was satisfactory. Both men presently fell to yawning, and Injun Joe said, "I am dead for sleep. It's your turn to watch." He curled down in the weeds and soon began to snore. His comrades stirred him once or twice, and he became quiet. Presently the watcher began to nod. His head dropped lower and lower. Both men began to snore now. The boys drew a long, grateful breath. Tom whispered, "Now's our chance. Come." Huck said, "I can't. I'd die if they was to wake." Tom urged. Huck held back. At last Tom rose slowly and softly and started alone. But the first step he made rang such a hideous quake from the crazy floor that he sank down, almost dead with fright. He never made a second attempt. The boys lay there counting the dragging moments till it seemed to them that time must be done, and eternity growing grey, and then they were grateful to note that at last the sun was setting. Now once snore ceased, Injun Joe sat up, stared around, smiled grimly upon his comrade, whose head was dropping upon his knees, stirred him up with his foot and said, "Here, you are a watchman, ain't you? All right, though, nothing's happened. My, have I been asleep? Oh, partly. Nearly time for us to be moving part. What will you do with what little swag we have got left? I don't know. Leave it here as we always done, I reckon. No use to take it away till we start south. 615 silver something to carry. Well, all right. It won't matter to come here once more. No, but I would say come in the night as we used to do. It's better. Yes, but look here, it may be a good while before I get the right chance at that job. Accidents might happen. 'Tain't in such a very good place. We will just regularly bury it, and bury it deep. Good idea, said the comrade, who walked across the room, knelt down, raised one of the rearward hearthstones, and took out a bag that jingled pleasantly. He subtracted from it $20 or $30 for himself, and as much for Injun Joe, and passed the bag to the latter, who was on his knees in the corner, now digging with his bowie knife. The boys forgot all their fears, all their miseries in an instant. With gloating eyes they watched every movement. Luck, the splendor of it was beyond all imagination. $600 was money enough to make half a dozen boys rich. Here was treasure hunting under the happiest auspices. There would not be any bothersome uncertainty as to where to dig. They nudged each other every moment, eloquent nudges, and easily understood, for they simply meant, "Oh, but ain't you glad now we are here?" Joe's knife struck upon something. "Hello," said he. "What is it?" said his comrade. "Half-rotten plank. No, it's a box, I believe." "Here, bear a hand and we will see what it's here for." "Never mind, I've broke a hole." He reached his hand in and drew it out. "Man, it's money." The two men examined the handful of coins. They were gold. The boys above were as excited as themselves and as delighted. Joe's comrade said, "We will make quick work of this. There's an old rusty pick over amongst the weeds in the corner the other side of the fireplace. I saw it a minute ago." He ran and broke the boy's pick and shovel. Injun Joe took the pick, looked it over critically, shook his head, muttered something to himself, and then began to use it. The box was soon unearthed. It was not very large, it was iron-bound, and had been very strong before the slow years had injured it. The man contemplated the treasure a while in blissful silence. "Pard, there's thousands of dollars here," said Injun Joe. "It was always said that Merle's gang used to be around here on summer," the stranger observed. "I know it," said Injun Joe, "and this looks like it, I should say." "Now you won't need to do that job." The half-breed frowned. Said he, "You don't know me, lest you don't know all about that thing. 'Tain't robbery altogether, it's revenge." And a wicked light flamed in his eyes. I will need your help in it. When it's finished, then Texas. Go home to your Nance and your kids, and stand by till you hear from me." "Well, if you say so. What will I do with this? Bury it again?" "Yes," ravishing the light overhead. "No, by the great second, no." Profound distress overhead. "I would nearly forgot. That peak had fresh earth on it." The boys were sick with terror in a moment. "What business has a pick and a shovel here? What business with fresh earth on them? Who brought them here? And where are they gone? Have you heard anybody? Seen anybody? What? Bury it again and leave them to come and see the ground disturbed? Not exactly, not exactly. We will take it to my den." "Why, of course, might have thought of that before. You mean number 1? "No, number 2, under the cross. The other place is bad, too common." "All right, it's nearly dark enough to start." Injun Joe got up and went about from window to window, cautiously peeping out. Presently he said, "Who could have brought those tools here? Do you reckon they can be upstairs?" The boys' breath forsook them. Injun Joe put his hand on his knife, halted a moment, undecided, and then turned toward the stairway. The boys thought of the closet, but their strength was gone. The steps came creaking up the stairs. The intolerable distress of the situation woke the stricken resolution of the lads. They were about to spring for the closet when there was a crash of rotten timbers, and Injun Joe landed on the ground amid the debris of the ruined stairway. He gathered himself up cursing, and his comrade said, "Now, what's the use of all that? If it's anybody, and they are up there, let them stay there. Who cares? If they want to jump down now and get into trouble, who objects? It will be dark in 15 minutes, and then let them follow us if they want to. I am willing. In my opinion, whoever hove those things in here caught a sight of us, and took us for ghosts or devils or something. I will bet they are running yet." Joe grumbled a while, then he agreed with his friend that what daylight was left ought to be economized in getting things ready for leaving. Shortly afterward they slipped out of the house in the deepening twilight and moved toward the river with their precious box. Tom and Huck rose up, weak but vastly relieved, and stared after them through the chinks between the logs of the house. Follow, not they. They were content to reach ground again without broken necks, and take the homeward track over the hill. They did not talk much. They were too much absorbed in hating themselves, hating the ill luck that made them take the spade and the pick there. But for that, Injun Joe never would have suspected. He would have hidden the silver with the gold to wait there till his revenge was satisfied, and then he would have had the misfortune to find that money turn up missing. Bitter, bitter luck that the tools were ever brought there. They resolved to keep a lookout for that Spaniard when he should come to town, spying out for chances to do his revengeful job, and following him to number 2, wherever it might be. Then a ghastly thought occurred to Tom. "Revenge? What if he means us, Huck?" "Oh, don't," said Huck, nearly fainting. They talked it all over, and as they entered town, they agreed to believe that he might possibly mean somebody else. At least that he might at least mean nobody but Tom, since only Tom had testified. Very, very small comfort it was to Tom to be alone in danger. Company would be a palpable improvement, he thought. End of chapter 26. Chapter 27. The adventure of today mightily tormented Tom's dreams that night. 4 times he had his hands on that rich treasure, and 4 times it vested to nothingness in his fingers as sleep forsook him and wakefulness brought back the hard reality of his misfortune. As he lay in the early morning recalling the incidents of his great adventure, he noticed that they seemed curiously subdued and far away, somewhat as if they had happened in another world or in a time long gone by. Then it occurred to him that the great adventure itself must be a dream. There was one very strong argument in favor of this idea, namely, the quantity of coin he had seen was too vast to be real. He had never seen as much as $50 in one mass before, and he was like all boys of his age and station in life, in that he imagined that all references to hundreds and thousands were mere fanciful forms of speech, and that no such sums really existed in the world. He never had supposed for a moment that so large a sum as $100 was to be found in actual money in anyone's possession. If his notions of hidden treasure had been analyzed, they would have been found to consist of a handful of real dimes and a bushel of vague, splendid, ungraspable dollars. But the incidents of his adventure grew sensibly sharper and clearer under that vision of thinking them over, and so he presently found himself leaning to the impression that the thing might not have been a dream after all. This uncertainty must be swept away. He would snatch a hurried breakfast and go and find Huck. Huck was sitting on the gunwale of a flatboat, listlessly dangling his feet in the water and looking very melancholy. Tom concluded to let Huck lead up to the subject. If he did not do it, then the adventure would be proved to have been only a dream. "Hello, Huck." "Hello yourself." Silence for a minute. "Tom, if we would have left the blame tools at the dead tree, we would have got the money." "Oh, ain't it awful?" "'Tain't a dream then, 'tain't a dream. Somehow I must wish it was. Dogged if I don't, Huck." "What ain't a dream?" "Oh, that thing yesterday. I've been half thinking it was." "Dream? If them stairs hadn't broke down you'd have seen how much dream it was. I've had dreams enough all night with that patch-eyed Spanish devil going for me all through them. Rot him." "No, not rot him. Find him. Track the money." "Tom, we will never find him. A feller don't have only one chance for such a pile, and that's one's last. I'd feel mighty shaky if I was to see him anyway." "Well, so do I. But I would like to see him anyway, and track him out to this number 2. "Number 2? Yes, that's it. I've been thinking about that, but I can make nothing out of it. What do you reckon it is?" "I don't know. It's too deep. Say, Huck, maybe it's the number of a house." "Goody. No, Tom, that ain't it. If it is, it ain't in this one-horse town. There ain't no numbers here." "Well, that's so. Let me think a minute." "Here, it's the number of a room, in a tavern, you know." "Oh, that's the trick. There ain't only 2 taverns we can find out quick. You stay here, Huck, till I come." Tom was off at once. He did not care to have Huck's company in public places. He was gone half an hour. He found that the best tavern, number 2, had been long occupied by a young lawyer, and was still so occupied. Then the less ostentatious house, number 2, was a mystery. The tavern keeper's young son said it was kept locked all the time, and he never saw anybody go into it or come out of it except at night. He did not know any particular reason for this state of things, had some little curiosity, but it was rather feeble, had made the most of the mystery by entertaining himself with the idea that room was haunted, had noticed that there was a light in there the night before. That's what I have found out, Huck. I reckon that's where in number 2 we are after. I reckon it is Tom. Now, what you going to do? Let me think. Tom thought a long time. Then he said, I will tell you. The back door of that number 2 is the door that comes out into that little closed alley between the tavern and the old rattle trap of a brick store. Now you get hold of all the door keys you can find, and I will nip all of Auntie's, and the first dark night we will go there and try them. And mind you, keep a lookout for Injun Joe, because he said he was going to drop into town and spy around once more for a chance to get his revenge. If you see him, you just follow him, and if he don't go that number 2, that ain't the place. Lordy, I don't want to follow him by myself. Why, it will be night sure. He mightn't never see you, and if he did, maybe he'd never think anything. Well, if it's pretty dark, I reckon I will track him. I don't know, I'll try. You bet I will follow him if it's dark, Huck. Why, he might have found out that he couldn't get his revenge and be going right after that money. It's so, Tom, it's so. I will follow him. I will, by jingoes. Now you are talking. Don't you ever weaken, Huck, and I won't. End of chapter 27.